अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणम्। हरे कृष्ण। Today we will be dwelling upon a subject which has become of interest to many Indians today. Some people have objected to ISKCON's take on the different personalities in the Hindu religious community. These personalities like Indra, Lord Shiva, Ganesha, Durga, Kali, etc. are worshipped by millions of Hindus all over the world, and ISKCON refers to them as demigods. They are gods with a small g, whereas Krishna is God with a big G. ISKCON is differentiating between the position of Krishna, saying that he is superior to all the other personalities like Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, Hanuman, Surya, Kali, Durga, etc. Naturally, this has ruffled some feathers and people have raised the objection that these are all not real Hindu Sanatana convictions, but this kind of differentiation is coming from the West. Some Westerners are trying to impose their monotheistic outlook onto the Hindu philosophy, which is otherwise pantheistic. That means there are multiple gods, whomever you want you can worship, and all of you will attain the same final goal. This is real Sanatana Dharma, real Hinduism, and what ISKCON is saying is actually against this. So this has been the argument put forward by some people, and they are reading out from different passages in the books of which are published by ISKCON, saying that how they are differentiating great personalities like Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, etc., and trivializing them. So this is against our Hindu culture. So we will try to see today whether the position of ISKCON is something which is newly concocted, something which has been invented to bring down the real Sanatana culture. Is there some sort of agenda behind this kind of presentation, differentiating between Krishna and the other personalities? So we will try to see, we will try to look at it from the perspective of the Bhagavad Gita. So we will look at 3 verses from the Bhagavad Gita, the chapter 7, verse number 20, chapter 7, verse number 23, and chapter 9, verse number 25. These are the 3 verses which we will analyze. First, I will read out chapter 7, verse number 20, which says, Kamaistaisthair hrita jnanaha prapadyante anya devataha tam tam niyamamasaya prakritiya niyataha svaya. The translation goes as follows: those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods, meaning devatas. Prapadyante anya devataha. The word used by Krishna is devata, which in English language we do not have an equivalent. So Prabhupada, who has translated and commented on the Bhagavad Gita, has used the word demigod to specifically refer to the word devatas, which is used in the Vedic scripture. This is a common thing. We all are used to the word devata. So the demigod word actually is used to indicate devatas. So those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods, meaning devatas, and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So, in the purport, Prabhupada is saying, it is said in the Bhagavatam that less intelligent people who have lost their spiritual sense take shelter of demigods for immediate fulfillment of material desires. Generally, such people do not go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are in particular modes of nature and therefore worship various demigods or devatas. So here the Supreme Personality of Godhead is referring to Krishna, and the various devatas is referring to all the other devatas. The word demigod is referring to all the devatas. So Prabhupada is saying here that less intelligent people who have lost their spiritual sense take shelter of the devatas for immediate fulfillment of material desires. Generally, such people do not go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, because they are in particular modes of nature, ignorance and passion, meaning tamoguna and rajoguna. So here clearly Prabhupada is differentiating between Krishna and the devatas. In fact, this verse itself is like that. Krishna is differentiating between the devatas and himself. Now again, let us take verse number 23 of the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavatyalpamedasam devan devayejo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. The translation, men of small intelligence worship the demigods, means the devatas, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods, devatas, go to the planets of the devatas, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So, in the purport, Prabhupada says, some commentators on the Gita say that one who worships a devata, demigod, can reach the Supreme Lord Krishna, but here it is clearly stated that worshippers of demigods, means devatas, go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated, just as a worshipper of the sun or Surya achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of the moon, means Somadeva or the lord of the moon planet, achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship a demigod like Indra, he can attain that particular god's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So clearly again, Prabhupada is differentiating here between devatas and Bhagavan, which is Krishna. And verse number 25 of the 9th chapter, Yanti devavrata devan pitrun yanti pitruvrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajanopi vyam. So Krishna is saying, those who worship the demigods, devatas, devavrata devanyanti, means those who worship the devatas will take birth among the demigods, the devatas. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Bhutani yanti bhutejya. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors. Pitrun yanti pitruvrataha. And those who worship me will live with me. Meaning those who worship Krishna will live with Krishna. So here also Krishna is differentiating, saying that those who worship the devatas go to those planets, those who worship Krishna come to Krishna. So there is a difference being established. So now when we look at these verses and we look at the explanations given by Prabhupada, it may appear that Prabhupada is saying something which is against the common understanding of the Hindu people, that whomever you want to worship, you can worship, you will attain the same goal, you will attain the same destination. All of you are assured the same destination. If you want to worship Shiva, you can worship Shiva. If you want to worship Ganesha, you can worship Ganesha, you can worship Ganesha. If you want to worship Hanuman, you worship Hanuman. If you want to worship Krishna, you worship Krishna. If you want to worship Rama, you worship Rama. All of them lead to the same goal, same destination. And all of them are equal. We have multiple gods. All of them are equal gods. This is the common understanding today. So, it appears that Prabhupada is saying something against what the Hindu understanding is. So to clarify, let us take a look at some of the old acharyas in the Vedic tradition, in the Sanatana tradition, in the Hindu religion. These acharyas whom I am talking of are all exalted acharyas who are revered all over the country by all Hindus. The first acharya whom I will take up is Sri Ramanujacharya. Sri Ramanujacharya is the luminary or the most prominent acharya in the Sri Sampradaya. So, Ramanujacharya lived approximately about 900 years before today. So, Sri Ramanujacharya has given extensive commentaries on the different Vedic scriptures. His commentary on the Vedanta Sutra is known as Sri Bhashya. And he has also written a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. Now, on the 7th chapter, on the 20th verse, Kamais Taiser Hrita Jnanaha. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto Devatas and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. To which Prabhupada has said that this means that the less intelligent people worship the Devatas because they are controlled by Tamoguna and Rajoguna. So let us see what Sri Ramanujacharya, who wrote this commentary on the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, this same verse, about 900 years ago, what he has to say. And this commentary of Sri Ramanujacharya is accepted by all scholars as very authentic. So Ramanujacharya, he says, Sarve evahi laukikaha purushaha swaya prakritya papa vasanaya. So he says, because of papa vasana, because of sinful tendencies, what happens is laukikaha purushaha, all the materialistic people, gunamaya bhava vishayaya niyata nityanvitaha, they being controlled by the modes of material nature, sattoguna, rajoguna, tamoguna, what they do is, they kamaihi ichcha vishaya bhutaihi hrita mat swarupa vishaya jnanaha. Hrita, they are bereft of the understanding of Krishna. Tat kama siddhyartham, for the satisfaction of their various desires, material desires. Somebody wants a good job, somebody wants money, somebody wants a good wife, somebody wants a good family, somebody wants good health. Being driven by all these desires, what happens, as Ramanujacharya says, madhyatiriktaha kevalendriya devataha tam tam niyamamastaya. So they worship all the devatas other than Krishna, like Indra, etc., to satisfy their desires. So here, Sri Ramanujacharya is also making a distinction that those whose intelligence has been Hrita Matswarupa Vishaya Jnana, those whose mind is bereft of an understanding of Krishna's, the signs of Krishna consciousness, they worship all the other devatas like Indra, etc. Because why he is saying Indra? Because Indra is the chief of the devatas. Indra is the head of all the devatas. All the devatas, whether Surya, Chandra, Vayu, Agni, etc., everybody, they are under Indra Deva. So he is saying all the devatas headed by Indra, they are surrendered to by people for satisfying their material desires by the people, by the common mass of people, because they are bereft of the understanding of the signs of Krishna. This is what Sri Ramanujacharya says. Now, on this same verse, let us see what Sri Madhvacharya has to say. Sri Madhvacharya appeared about 700 years ago, and he is the luminary in the Madhva Sampradaya. He has established the Udupi temple and the Ashtamatas, so he is also highly renowned and revered. Madhvacharya also has written a commentary on the Vedanta Sutras, and he also has written a commentary on the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. On this particular verse, the 23rd verse of the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Madhvacharya's commentary goes something like this. There is a Bhashya and there is a Tatparya Nirnaya, both written by Madhvacharya. So we will read the highlighted portion, where in the Tatparya Nirnaya he states Vishnum tatparam jnatva Rama Brahma Haradikan Yajannapi Tamo Ghoram Nitya Dukkham Prayatihi. So he says that although knowing that Vishnu is Tatpara, he is supreme, although knowing Vishnu is supreme, somebody who worships Yajan, Rama, Brahma, Hara, Adikan, who worships Rama, Rama means the Parvati Devi, or it also can refer to Durga Devi, Kali, Lakshmi, all these kind of personalities. Rama, Brahma, Lord Brahma, Hara, Lord Shiva, Adikan, etc. Those who worship Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Durga, Kali, Lakshmi, etc., despite knowing the supreme position of Vishnu, Tamo Ghoram, they go into dark ignorance. Nitya Dukkham Prayati, and they only obtain constant distress in this material world. So what Madhvacharya is saying, if somebody worships the Devatas like Lord Shiva or Rama Devi or Brahma or all other Devatas included, etc., then they are going into deeper and deeper ignorance, and they are only inviting more and more distress in their lives. So if somebody does not worship Vishnu, this is the condition that happens to them. This is Madhvacharya's commentary. Okay, now let us look at Sridhara Swami, who came in the Rudra Sampradaya. Sridhara Swami is a very renowned scholar who appeared about 600 years ago, and he is part of the Rudra Sampradaya, which is headed by Vishnu Swami. His commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, on the Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. are very famous and very authentic. So this is what Sridhar Swami has to say. Yetu taistaihi putra kirti shatru jayadi vishayaihi. Those who are desirous of getting children, progeny, those who are desirous to achieve great fame, those who want victory over their enemies, Satru Jaya, etc., etc. Like this, people have many, many desires. So having these desires, Kamair Apahrita Vivekaha, those whose Viveka, intelligence, has been taken away by these desires, whose intelligence has been snatched away by these kind of desires, Santa Anyaha Kshudra Bhuta Preta Yajnadi Devata Bhajanti. They, such people whose intelligence has been snatched away by the desires for these material things, they worship Kshudra, lower personalities like Bhutas, Pretas, ghosts and Devatas. So those who worship Devatas, Sridhar Swami is commenting, they are people whose intelligence has been snatched away by material desires. So this is what Sridhar Swami has to say, who has written this commentary on the Bhagavad Gita about 600 years ago. Now let us look at another sampradaya. Sri Vallabhacharya is a very eminent luminary acharya, and Vallabhacharya has also established many important temples. He has also written the commentary on the Bhagavatam and various other scriptures. The most famous Srinathji temple in Rajasthan, in Nathadwara, is actually worshipped by the descendants of Vallabhacharya. So Vallabhacharya is also highly renowned and respected, and his commentaries are also very authentic and highly revered. So he says, Tad evam alaukika mahimanam mam yatha kathanchidapi ye prapadyante te siddhim prapyante. So what he is saying is, those who surrender to Krishna, what this verse is saying is, according to Vallabhacharya, those who surrender to Krishna, they will siddhim prapyante, they will attain perfection in life. Taranti, and they cross over this material world. And on the other hand, ye tu mam na prapadyante, those who do not surrender to Krishna, te asuramargiya anya devata eva prapadyante. Those who do not surrender to Krishna, they are actually falling into the category of asuras, asura margiya. And these asuras, what they do? Anya devata eva prapadyante. They surrender to other devatas. So you see, Vallabhacharya is also saying the same thing what others are saying. So if you look at Ramanujacharya, you look at Madhvacharya, you look at Vallabhacharya, you look at Sridhar Swami, all of them are saying, are differentiating between the worship of Lord Krishna or Vishnu or Narayana and the worship of all other devatas who may be personalities, who may be great personalities. They are all worshipable personalities, but still all the acharyas are making a distinction. Now, if you look at what Prabhupada is saying, Prabhupada is also saying less intelligent people who have lost their spiritual sense take shelter of devatas for immediate fulfillment of material desires. Generally, such people do not go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Prabhupada is not saying anything new. Whatever acharyas from 900 years have been saying, Prabhupada is also saying the same thing. Now let us take verse number 23 of the 7th chapter, which says, Antavantu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedasam devan devayejo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, devatas, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the devatas go to the planets of the devatas, but my devotees ultimately reach my planet. Means those who worship Krishna go to Krishna's supreme planet. Now let us look at what Prabhupada said. Some commentators on the Gita say that one who worships the demigod can reach the Supreme Lord, but here it is clearly stated that worshippers of the demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated, just as a worshipper of the sun achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of the moon achieves the moon. So Prabhupada is saying different worshippers, those who take to different paths, achieve different destinations. They do not achieve the same destination. So let us see what the previous acharyas have said about this. Is this again something which is in conformance to the standard conclusions of the Vedic scriptures, or is this something which is again something newly concocted? So we begin again with Sripada Ramanujacharya, whose commentary on this verse of the Bhagavad Gita goes as follows. So his commentary says, Tesham alpamedasam alpabuddhinam. Alpamedas, medas means brain substance. Those who are alpamedas, those whose brain is not fully developed. Alpabuddhinam, those whose intelligence is not fully developed. Indradi matra yajinam tadaradhana phalam swalpamantavaccha bhavati. Such people who have less intelligence, whose intelligence is not developed, this is what Sripada Ramanujacharya is saying, they worship other devatas like Indra. And he says, Yata Indradin Devan Tadyajino Yanti. And by such worship, those who worship Indra go to Indraloka. Indradayo hi parichinna bhogaha parimita kala vartinascha. What happens is, Indra Adayaha, all the devatas, whether it is Ganesha, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Agni, Surya, Kali, Durga, Indra, etc. Indra Adayaha. So all the devatas beginning with Indra, he parichinna bhogaha, they can give you only limited results. And parimita kala vartinascha, they themselves are temporary. They are not eternally situated. So, and then he says, Mad bhakta api tesham eva karmanam mad aradhana rupatam jnatva parichinna phalasangam tyaktva. And he is saying, Ramanujacharya is saying, those who worship Krishna, when Krishna is saying here, Mad bhakta yanti mamapi in this verse, that devotees of Krishna reach Krishna, Sri Ramanujacharya is saying that those who give up all these material desires and worship Krishna, Mad prinanaika prayojanaha, those who serve Krishna with the sole intention to please him for the pleasure of Krishna, Mameva prapnuvanti, they achieve Krishna only. They do not go to the other devatas. Nor do the worshippers of the devotees of the other devatas like Shiva, Ganesha, etc. They cannot go to Krishna. Only those who worship Krishna with the specific intention of only pleasing him, I don't want anything else in this material world. So only such personalities achieve Krishna. This is what Sripada Ramanujacharya is saying. And so what is the big difference? Those who worship Indra go to Indra, those who worship Lord Krishna go to Lord Krishna, those who worship Shiva go to Shiva. So what is the big deal? So Sripada Ramanujacharya is saying, Nacha punar nivartante, maamaipe tita kaunteya punarjanma nivyate. Sripada Ramanujacharya quotes the 8th chapter, 16th verse, Mamupayate Kaunte Punarjanma Navidyate. And he says, Mameva Prapnuvanti Nacha Punar Nivartante. When Krishna says Madbhakta Yanti Mayamapi in this verse, it means they go to Krishna, they no more take birth within this material world again. They attain permanent moksha. Whereas those who are devoted to other devatas, what did Sripada Ramanujacharya tell about them? He said, Parichinna bhogaha parimita kalavartinascha. The devatas cannot give any permanent eternal benediction. They cannot give any permanent eternal ashirvad. They can give only temporary benediction because the devatas themselves have a limited lifespan. Whereas Krishna, Vishnu are eternal, therefore they can give eternal benediction and they can bestow moksha or mukti upon the living entities. This is what Sripada Ramanujacharya comments on this 23rd verse of the 7th chapter. Now let us look at what Sripada Madhvacharya says. On this same verse, Sripada Madhvacharya comments, Jnatva paratvam vishnostu pratak devan yajan naraha yati devans tadajnatva tama eva prapadyate. So, Madhvacharya is saying, Jnatva paratvam vishnohatu. Those who know the transcendental supreme position of Vishnu as being above that of all the devatas, but still pratak devan yajan, they go and worship other devatas. What happens? Naraha yati devans devan. So they will not attain Vishnu, they will not attain Krishna, they will attain the specific devatas they worship. Tad ajnatva tamaveva prapadyate, and they will attain only ignorance. They cannot elevate themselves in spiritual knowledge. They are not elevated in spiritual knowledge. They are immersed in ignorance. Tathapi yavad anyaistu samyam hinatvam ekatam nakinchinvanti jayante samsarete punappunaha. So he is saying, Tathapi yavad anyaistu samyam hinatvam ekatam. Madhvacharya is saying, those who say that all the devatas are equal to Krishna. Krishna, Vishnu, Narayana, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Ganesha, Indra, Agni, all of them are equal gods. Or somebody says Krishna is lower and Ganesha or Lord Shiva or Lord Indra or Lord Agni, they are superior to Krishna or Vishnu. So, somebody who sees them on an equal level or somebody who sees Krishna or Vishnu as lower, then what happens? Nakinchinvanti jayante samsarete punappunaha. Jayante te samsare punappunaha. Such people can never attain moksha. They will constantly take repeated birth within this material world. So this is the conclusion of Sripada Madhvacharya. So Sripada Madhvacharya is also making a distinction. Worship of the devatas and Krishna or Vishnu is not on the same level, and he is even going to the extent of saying, if anyone even thinks that all the devatas are the same as Krishna, the pantheistic view, Hinduism has multiple gods, all are equal. Anybody thinks like this, he can never attain moksha, he will undergo repeated birth and death within this samsara. This is Sripada Madhvacharya's conclusion. Let us see what Srila Sridhar Swami says. Alpamedhasam, those who are less intelligent. He brings the same thing from the 20th verse. Alpamedhasam parichinna drishtinam, those whose vision is very limited. They are not able to have a broad vision. Mayadattam api tatphalam antavattu vinashi bhavati. They try to enjoy they approach the various devatas for various ashirvad benedictions, and they enjoy fruits which are limited and temporary. Tadevaha devan yajantiti devayajaha. So such people worship the devatas. Te devan antavato yanti. Such people will attain the devatas only. All of them will not attain the same destination. On the other hand, madbhaktastu mam anadyantam paramanandam prapnuvanti. On the other hand, he is saying, when Krishna is saying in this verse, madbhakta yanti mamapi, my devotees ultimately reach me, means Krishna's devotees ultimately reach Krishna. Sridhar Swami is saying that means they reach a position in Krishna's planet which is mam anadi antam, so which has no beginning and no end, meaning which is eternal. So we devotees of Krishna, those who worship Krishna or Vishnu, attain a position which is eternal. they don't have attain a temporary position, unlike those who worship the Devatas. And Paramanandam, they attain the supreme bliss, supreme happiness. On the other hand, those who worship the Devatas, they are constantly stuck in this material world of repeated birth and death, undergoing repeated unending distress. On the other hand, those who worship Krishna, they attain unending happiness. This is Srila Sridhar Swami's explanation. Now we come to what Sri Vallabhacharya says on this verse. Ato bhava bhedat phala bheda ityaha antavaditi. So he is saying, just like the bhava is different, the worship of Lord Shiva is a different bhavana, the worship of Ganesha is a different bhavana, the worship of Surya is a different bhavana. Accordingly, the destination achieved is also different. They don't achieve the same destination. Tu shabdo bhedam suchayati. So he is giving a specific grammatic explanation. Because in this verse, in the very beginning, Lord Krishna is saying, Antavattu phalam tesham. So he is saying, Sri Vallabhacharya is saying, this word tu indicates there is a difference between the fruit obtained by worshipping Krishna and the fruit or the result obtained by worshipping the Devatas. Yeto alpamedasam indradi matranga yajinam shakha phalapatranyata sevakanam iva tesham phalam alpam antavad vinashi bhavati. So Sri Vallabhacharya is commenting that all those unintelligent people, they worship Indradi, they worship all the Devatas headed by Indra, and Tesham Phalam Alpam, they get very small fruit, small result, and Avinashi, Antavad Vinashi. So the results which are temporary, which are liable to get destroyed. So this is the result obtained by worshipping Devatas. Yo yam bhajate shraddhayatam tameva ititi abhiprayena madbhakta yanti mam abhiti uktam. So when Krishna is saying here that when Krishna is saying here devan devayajo yanti and madhyajanopi yanti mam, Vallabhacharya is saying what it means is those who worship the demigods, they go to the respective demigods. Those who worship Krishna come to Krishna, which is being differentiated by Krishna with this word tu in this verse. This is what Vallabhacharya also is saying. So again you can see all the acharyas beginning from 900 years ago, they are saying the same thing, that the result obtained by worshipping the Devatas is different, the result obtained by worshipping Krishna is different. Both do not go into the same destination. We cannot say that you worship anyone you want and do whatever path you want to adopt, you will reach the same destination. This is not what all the acharyas are saying. Now we will come to the 25th verse of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Yanti deva vrata devanya pitrun yanti pitrvrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajinopi mam. Krishna is saying in this verse, those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors. And those who worship me will live with me. This is what Krishna is saying in this verse. So, what does Sripada Ramanujacharya says? He says, Indradi yajana sankalpaha yete Indradi devan yanti. Those who worship the different devatas like Indra, they will attain those devatas only. Yecha pitru yajnadibi pitrun yajamaha iti pitru yajna sankalpaha te pitrun yanti. Those who worship the pitas, the ancestors, they will attain the pitruloka. They go to the planet of the pitris. Yecha yaksharaksha pisachadini bhutani yajamaha iti bhuta yajana sankalpaha te bhutani yanti. There are some people who worship bhutas, pretas, ghosts, demons. So such people, those who engage in black magic, they will go to the planets of those bhutas and pretas. And yetu paramatmanam bhagavantam vasudem yajamaha iti mam yajante te madhyajina mam eva yanti. Those who worship, when Krishna is saying madhyajinopi mam yanti, that means those who worship Krishna will go specifically to Krishna, they will not go elsewhere. Those who worship the others will not come to Krishna. And Devadivrata Devadin Prapya Taihi Saha Parimitam Bhogam Bhuktva. So those who worship the Devatas, they will attain to the respective planets of the Devatas. Like if somebody worships Shiva, he will go to Kailasa, he will go to Shivaloka. If somebody worships Indra, he will go to Swargaloka. Somebody worships Brahma, he will go to Brahmaloka. If somebody worships Surya Deva, he will go to Surya, the sun planet. Somebody worships Somadeva, he will go to the planet of the moon. If somebody worships Shani Deva, he will go to the planet of Shani Deva. So he is saying Devadi Vrata Devadin Prapya Taihi Saha Parimitam Bhogam Bhuktva. So when they attain the planets of the Devatas, the devotees of the respective Devatas, they attain the planets of those Devatas. And what happens? Parimitam Bhogam Bhuktva. They will enjoy happiness for Parimitam, for a limited period of time. Tesham Vinashakale Taihi Saha Vinashta Bhavanti. And when the time comes for the death of all these Devatas, all the Devatas are Nashvara. Vinashakale. When the time comes for destruction, when the time of death comes for all the Devatas, including Brahma, Ganesha, everybody has to die. So when the time comes for them to die, then along with them, all these devotees also will get finished. They will also die. Madhyadinaha, those who worship Krishna, Tumam Anadinidanam Sarvajnam, Satya Sankalpam. So they will attain to me, they will attain to Krishna, who is Anadinidanam, who is eternal. There is no beginning, there is no end to Krishna. So those who worship Krishna or Vishnu or Narayana, they will never undergo destruction because the Lord, Supreme Lord, He Himself is eternal. Anavadikati Shaya Sankhye Kalyana Gunagana Mahodadhim. So Krishna, who is a reservoir, who is an ocean of wonderful, unlimited transcendental qualities, Anavadikati Shayanandam, they will enjoy unlimited transcendental happiness with him. Prapya na punah nivartante ityartaha. And having attained Krishna, having attained Vaikuntha, punaha nivartante na, they will not have to take repeated birth and death. Clear distinction. Those who worship the Devatas, they have to, even the Devatas have to die one day. At that time, their devotees also have to die. Whereas those who worship Krishna or Vishnu or Lord Rama, they will get eternal life. They will no more have to undergo birth and death. So this is what Sripada Ramanujacharya has said on this verse. Now what does Sripada Madhvacharya says? I'll read out one line in his Bhashya which says, Phalam vivichya aha yanti iti. That means vivichya means different. Phalam vivichya. The fruits attained are different according to your different modes of worship. That means results are not the same, destination is not the same, destination is different according to the different paths. One is the path of worshipping the Devatas, which gives temporary and limited results. Another is the path of worship of Vishnu or Krishna or Narayana or Lord Ramachandra, which will give eternal benefit and a life free from birth and death completely. And then further, Sripada Madhvacharya says, Sarva Deva Varatvena Yona Janati Keshavam. Those who do not understand that Keshava or Krishna is the one who is actually giving the power to the Devatas to give Ashirvad or benedictions or blessing to all their devotees. Yasya Punyani Moghani Yati Chandam Tamo Dhruvam. Such people who do not recognize the supreme position of Krishna or Vishnu, what happens? Moghani, all their punya, all their charitable activities of punya, worshipping the Devata, Moghani, they are all useless. Yanti Chandam Tamo Dhruvam. And all such worshippers of the Devatas who worship them independent of Krishna or Vishnu, Andham Tamo Dhruvam, they attain ignorance, they attain they go into deep darkness, meaning they will continuously keep taking birth and death within this material world in material bodies. Ataha sarvadikyam vishnor jnatvapi brahmadinam tat parivaratvadikam ajanatam idam phalam. So those who do not understand the supreme position, sarvadikyam vishnor, so those who do not understand that Vishnu is above all other Devatas, he is the supreme, everybody else is subordinate to him. Those who do not understand this, then they have to undergo the repeated birth and death within this material world. So that brings them again and again to this, they get stuck to this material world, they cannot attain moksha or mukti. This is what Sripada Madhvacharya says. Now let us look at what Sridhar Swami says. So on this 9th chapter, 25th verse, Sridhar Swami says, Devendradishu vratam niyamo yesham te antavanto devan yanti ataha punaravartante. So, Deveshu Indra Adishu, those who worship the Devatas, so they get results which are temporary. Antavataha. They get results which are temporary by attaining those Devatas, and therefore Ataha Punaravartate, because they do not attain Krishna or Vishnu, but they attain to the respective Devatas. They may go to Swargaloka, they may go to Brahmaloka, they may go to Shivaloka, they may go to Surya Loka, Chandra Loka, etc. Punaravartate, they have to again take birth and death. Pitrishu Vratam Yesham, those who worship the ancestors, Pitras, Shraddhadi Kriya Paranam, those who worship the Pitras by following the process of Shraddha, etc. Te Pitru Nyanti, they go to the Pitru Loka. Bhuteshu Vinayaka Matrukadish Vijya Puja Yesham Te Bhutani Yanti. So Bhuteshu Vinayaka Matrukadish Vijya Puja Yesham Te Bhutani Yanti. Those who worship the different kinds of bhutas and pretas and ghostly beings, they attain to those planets. Mam Yashtum Sheelam Yesham, those who are accustomed to worshipping Krishna, Te Madhyajinastetu Mamevakshayam Paramananda Rupam Narayanam Yanti. They attain Akshaya. They attain eternal Paramananda Rupam. They attain the eternal form of complete bliss, of Parama Ananda, of ultimate bliss, ultimate happiness, which is the form of Narayana. So, the result attained is different. By worshipping the Devatas, we cannot attain Narayana. And if you worship the Devatas, you get limited results, temporary results, you get stuck to this material world of repeated birth and death. You worship Krishna, Vishnu, Narayana, Lord Rama, or any of the incarnations of Vishnu, Narasimha, Varaha, etc. What happens is, you attain to the eternal abode of Vaikuntha, no more repeated birth and death, and that place is full of Paramananda. In contrast to this material world full of distress. Now we come to what Sri Vallabhacharya says on this. He says, Karmabhir Indradin Devan Yajama iti Krita Sankalpaha Devan Yanti. So those who want various results and worship the different Devatas like Indra, they attain to the respective Devata planets. Pitruvratam Rajasabhavaha. Those who are controlled by the mode of passion, Rajoguna, they worship the Pitras, the ancestors, like by performing the Shraddha ceremony. Bhutejas Tamasabhavavantaha. Those who are controlled by Tamoguna, mode of ignorance, they worship the different Pishachas, Bhutas, Pretas, ghostly beings, etc. And Paramatmanam Shri Vasudevam Yajama iti Sankalpena Vishuddha Sattva Bhava Nirguna Bhavasya Mam Yajayante. Those who worship Paramatma, Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva, Krishna, or Vishnu, or Narayana, what happens? They are not under the control of Sattoguna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. They are Vishuddha Sattva Bhava, they are in transcendental mode. And Nirguna Bhavasa, they are not controlled by any of these modes. So those who worship Devatas, Sri Vallabhacharya is making a distinction. Those who worship Devatas are controlled by the mode of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Those who worship Narayana or Krishna or Vishnu, they are beyond these modes of material nature. That means only Mukta Purushas, only those who are liberated personalities, those who attain moksha or mukti, can become free from the influence of the modes of material nature. So, only by worshipping Krishna or Vishnu or Narayana, one can become liberated and free from the influence of the three modes of material nature. Those who worship the Devatas are under the control of the three modes of material nature, Rajoguna, Tamoguna and Sattoguna. This is Sri Vallabhacharya's conclusion. In fact, even Adi Shankaracharya, who appeared about 1300 years ago, in his commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita on these verses, says something similar to what we have been discussing until now as far as the point related to the Devatas and Bhagavan Krishna is concerned. On the 7th chapter 20th verse, he comments, Kamaistaihi putra pashu swarga adi vishayaihi hritajnanaha apahrita viveka vijnanaha prapadyante anya devataha. So he is saying that those whose intelligence has been taken away, apahrita viveka and apahrita vijnana, all their intelligence, all their wisdom, discrimination, viveka, discrimination, hrita jnana, their knowledge whose knowledge has been taken away by kama, various desires for putra, for progeny, pashu, for getting cattle, swarga, for achieving residence in swarga, etc. These kind of desires, if they have taken away one's knowledge, their intelligence, their wisdom, their discrimination, what happens? Prapadyante anya devataha. They surrender to other devatas. Pratnuvanti vasudevad atmano anya devataha. So they achieve the anya devataha. They achieve finally by worshipping those devatas. They go to those devatas. Vasudevad atmano anya. They achieve devatas other than Vasudeva, Krishna. So Shankaracharya is also commenting that those who worship the other devatas out of material desires, they achieve the residence of those respective devatas other than Krishna. And on the 7th chapter, verse 23, he begins his commentary by saying, Anya devata bhaktana maudhyam, Bhagavad bhaktanam cha vaisishtyam. He says this 23rd verse of the 7th chapter describes the maudhyam, foolishness of the devotees of Anya Devata, of other Devatas. And Bhagavad Bhaktanam, those who are devotees of Bhagavan Krishna. Who is the Bhagavan here in Bhagavad Gita? It is Krishna. So the Vaisishtya, the speciality of the devotees of Bhagavan Krishna Vasudeva is being described in this verse. That is what Shankaracharya says. And further in the commentary he says, what is that speciality he is referring to? Evam samane apyayase mameva na prapadyante. So, although the effort is the same in worshipping the Devatas and in worshipping Krishna, na prapadyante, they do not surrender unto Krishna. Although ananta phalaya, although he can give eternal results, unlike the Devatas. Aho khalu kashtam vartata ityανukrosham darshayati Bhagavan. So he is saying, Krishna in this verse is expressing lamentation. Oh, what a sorry state of affairs that these people, although the effort is the same in worshipping the other Devatas and in worshipping Krishna, they are going and worshipping other Devatas and getting temporary results, whereas by worshipping Krishna, they can get eternal results. So, but still people do not worship Krishna. So like this, Krishna is expressing unhappiness at this. That is what, according to Shankaracharya in his commentary, that is in that feeling of unhappiness about the foolishness of the living entities, Shankaracharya is saying Krishna is speaking this verse. And 9th chapter, verse 25, there also Shankaracharya says, Samanye api ayase mameva na bhajante ajnanat. So because of ajnana, because of ignorance, although the effort is the same in worshipping other devatas and in worshipping me, means worshipping Krishna, the people, because of ignorance, they do not worship Krishna. Tena te alpaphala bhajo bhavati ityartha. This means, according to Shankaracharya, what he is commenting is, this means that these people who worship the other devatas, they get alpaphala bhajo. They get temporary and limited results. This is what Adi Shankaracharya, even Adi Shankaracharya is commenting like this on these verses of the Bhagavad Gita. So now, when we look at all these conclusions of these different acharyas, what they are saying, and what Srila Prabhupada is saying, exactly the same thing. All of them are concurring on this point, that the worship of Krishna is different, the worship of Devatas like Indra, Hara or Lord Shiva Rama, Durga, Kali, Lakshmi, these are different. The worship of Krishna or Vishnu incarnations are different. They give different result. All of the different paths do not go to the same destination. And those who worship all the Devatas, Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, Lord Indra, Brahma, Agni, Surya, Vayu, etc., Shanideva, etc., all of them attain temporary results and they get stuck to this material world of repeated birth and death, and they cannot attain moksha, and they have to undergo distresses repeatedly. Whereas those who worship Krishna or any of the Vishnu incarnations, they will attain eternal life in Vaikuntha Loka, free from repeated birth and death, and completely free from all distresses. They achieve Paramananda. This is the conclusion of all the acharyas, and exactly that same standard conclusion has been given by Srila Prabhupada. Only thing is, all these acharyas have given these commentaries in Sanskrit. Prabhupada has given the commentary in English. That's the only difference. So therefore, when Prabhupada is saying in English, Prabhupada uses the word demigod, whereas the other acharyas are saying devatas. This is the only difference. Otherwise, conclusion is the same. So the standard way of understanding Sanatana Dharma, the standard conclusion of the Sanatana Dharma, the standard conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, which has been handed down in parampara from time immemorial, from thousands of years, is that worship of Vishnu or Krishna cannot be compared with the worship of Devatas. The result attained by worshipping all the Devatas is temporary, and it will not give us permanent happiness. It will only give us repeated distress and repeated birth and death within this material world without giving us moksha. Whereas by worshipping Krishna or Vishnu's incarnations, we can attain Vaikuntha, where there is no more birth and death, and one can attain a life of complete happiness and bliss. And by worshipping Devatas, it is not possible to achieve this destination. Different paths of worship lead to different destinations. This is the standard conclusion which is coming down since ages. So I hope this little explanation, which I thought I will share with all of you, has been useful. And if you want to understand the standard conclusion of the parampara, which has been given by all acharyas of different Vaishnava sampradayas, simply read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, because it is in English language which we can understand. On the other hand, if you know Sanskrit language, then please study the commentaries of Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, etc. You will find the conclusion is the same thing which Prabhupada is giving. Therefore, if you read Prabhupada's books, the conclusions are standard conclusions. They are the real, unchanged, unaltered, uncontaminated conclusion of the Sanatana Dharma. So I request all of you to not to be deluded or bewildered or misled by people who claim that the conclusions given in Prabhupada's books are not correct, that they are some Western concepts which are which with some agenda they have been put into these commentaries. That is not the fact. The fact is, all the commentaries that Prabhupada is giving are all standard conclusions which have been unchanged. In an unchanged manner, Prabhupada is giving that conclusions of all the acharyas to us in an easily understandable manner. So please read Prabhupada's books, understand the standard conclusions of all the great acharyas of this wonderful Sanatana Dharma, and be established in the proper conclusions. Thank you. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.